It's been a very interesting journey for me because I'm discovering the industry. The journey of this book started a year ago. I mean, officially, that's when I started to really put things together and write the book. But it's actually the result of a long journey in the oil and gas industry, working worldwide. And so I've been in this industry for 20 years. And like Deborah was saying, there's a big significance in the 20 years because I got in this industry because I lost my dad. And at some point I just had to stop going to school. I had my bachelor. I stopped because I had to find a job, and then I got into the industry. But I managed to discover the industry and really like it. So this book is really represent a lot for me. I dedicate it to my dad actually, and also really putting together all that I've learned working in the industry as well. So through this journey, what I really realized is that when you really want something, you have to go and get it. And going and get it doesn't mean just sit down, have the idea. It's also just put a plan, implement it, and really follow through with persistence because it's challenging. I mean, I went through a lot of challenges, sometimes not sleeping at night, just going and write and, coming to the office after just 2 hours sleeping, but always on duty. And I'm really, really happy that I could actually achieve that. And I'm happy to have you here to celebrate that because it's not just my accomplishment, it's also the accomplishment of family, friends, colleagues supporting me in the office as well. And it's been really, really tremendous, and I'm really blessed to have you here to actually celebrate that as well. Because in this journey, obviously I had the idea, I put the plan, but I had to get the right people as well on board. I got a coach to actually discipline me to really go through the process, because otherwise I don't think I will be able to do it. I got involved in a leadership group, and they are here, Debbie, Teboho, Gravo. They've been supporting me, and Evelyn, they've been supporting me through the whole process, because sometimes you just want to just give up because it's too much. But we've done it. It's been an incredible journey, but I'm happy with the outcome. Obviously, you're going to ask me, what is the book about? Like Debbie said, it's a very serious subject for people who are not in the industry. But I think it's a relevant subject and a subject of actuality right now, especially in our industry. And what I talk about in the book, I mean, the title of the book is Local Content, Key Enabler for Oil and Gas Projects in Emerging Markets. It's basically looking at how the oil and gas industry actually generate value in different countries where we produce oil. So the definition that I give of local content in my book is really the added value that the oil and gas industry is bringing to a country. And it can be through a lot of things. I think previously it was a very simple process where you basically had a whole company coming into a country, extracting the oil, and then just giving money through tax or royalty. And then that was really to the government, and that was really the process right now. But I think now it's with the proliferation of all the national oil company, I think the countries are asking more. They want the oil and gas company to be involved a little bit more in the economic growth of the country, the sustainment development, and that's where really it becomes really interesting, and it's really have to go They have to work in collaboration. And previously we only had two stakeholders, the companies, the oil and gas companies and the government, but now, I mean, we have to look at additional stakeholders like the communities, the politicians, and that's really becoming a very, very complex scheme. So basically, in the book, I look at giving some rule of engagement for the oil and gas company, and also rule of engagement for the government and the regulators. And I also tackle the implementation of the different policies in local content, where we look at job generation, I mean skills development, infrastructure financement, and also looking at really the growth of the country itself. And that's where things are changing in this context of local content. One of the things that actually I found doing my research when I was writing this book is that what's lagging behind is really the monitoring side and the governance process side of the local content. Obviously, you have all the regulation in place. I mean, they are communicated to the oil and gas companies, but there's not really a regular checkpoint from the regulators and to know, okay, is it working? Can we readjust? And I think that's where the improvement needs to be a focus. So I'm not going to be long and really get into the oil and gas, because I know some of the friends are starting to get really nervous. But I'm really blessed, I think, to have you here, to have people from different part of my life supporting me here. I'm really honored that you can celebrate this first book with me, and I really thank I thank God for all of this blessing. I encourage you to buy the book, to get the knowledge, and I'm always available to actually engage, having some discussion. There's going to be a website on the book where you can actually put some testimonials and also ask questions, and I can actually respond to some of the questions either by email or live, I mean face to face. So I don't want to be long. Get the book, get the learning, and I think it's going to be outstanding. So thank you again.
I'm sure somebody's got a question for Mireille.
Which countries, particularly in Africa, do you see leading the local content debate or local content surge for IOCs coming into Africa?
It's been very challenging for Africa. I must admit that I didn't find a country that got it right, but I think Nigeria is on the way. I mean, they've actually have their challenges, but they're on the way to actually get there, and they're getting organized, and I think they're probably the leading country if we're talking about the country being close to have it right. Otherwise, I mean, I think most of the country are still lagging behind. In East Africa, I think they're taking a step back. Obviously, in terms of local content, Norway is actually seen as really the success case. And I see that in Mozambique, for example, they're working a lot with the Norwegian to actually get it right. So that's a very good step. Ghana, when I did the research as well, Ghana is also taking some good step, looking at benchmarking in Norway, in Malaysia. I've actually seen it work really well in Malaysia. I've worked in Malaysia, and the local content implementation has been really successful. So, I mean, we're getting there in terms of African country, and I think there's now a lot of focus on it. So it's really on a good good way.
Mine is a comment more than a question, Mireille. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
It is an honor to know an author personally and be able to just pose a question any time of the day. So congratulations on that. Having worked with you in oil and gas, my interest when you talk about sustainability, unfortunately I haven't read the book, so I want to know if it's yet underlined, underlined, yeah, yet. Is it technical, or am I going to be able to read it? And is it talking about sustainability in a sense that a non-oil and gas, non-engineer is going to be able to read
I
about?
think as a non-engineer, you'll be able to read it, because I've made the commitment just not to be too technical. So yes, I'm talking about local content, but I think it goes beyond that. It's actually linked to the economic growth, how countries are developing. And I think we all involved into all of this. We all understand what are the challenges and what's going on. So I don't think you'll be completely lost, if I can say, when you read the book. So be assured of that.
How do you think companies utilize local content to develop a competitive edge within the market?
Local content, especially when we look at projects, should be one of the components from the beginning, like any other technical matter. You have to think about it from the beginning, and then it has to go through the project implementation and project milestone. And then you actually cover the whole thing. Because I think what I've seen so far is that company waits for the full project to be done, and then local content just comes at the end.
You find that when companies or international IOCs go into some of these countries, there is a gap between the local companies and what is expected from an international project. How, and maybe the book covers this, do you have any recommendations on closing that gap, or how do you upskill the local companies to meet those standards that are required? As you know, our industry is very, very safety conscious, very technically demanding, and we need to maintain those standards to ensure the integrity.
One of the things that you'll see as well is that the lack of clarity as well from the government and the regulator on what they want, what is the local content policy. So for the company, it's very difficult to actually know what is required. So I think to close the gap, you really need we really need a lot of effort from the government to actually engage with the company, to be clear on what they want and the different milestones and key things that they want them to implement. Because otherwise, it's very difficult for a company, because what you look at is really go there and you're looking at making profits. And if there's no one telling you, okay, this is the way we want things to be done, you do it your way. And that's really where the problem is. And from the government side, I think they should try to develop their skills to actually, I was talking about monitoring and governance, have proper bodies that can actually address that and work with the company to make sure that it is implemented.
What was the secret? I mean, we work together, and I know the demands of the job.
Yeah.
I know the family life, and I know weekends. You never answered your phone at weekends. I know that much. But what's the secret? What can you share with us? What tips can you give us to let us know how that balancing act, how you were successful with that balancing act?
I think I didn't have any balance at all, but I think it's just the determination. I wanted to have these projects going through. Like I was saying, I mean, I had some sleepless nights, sometimes just sleeping 2-3 hours, but I didn't show it. But it was hard, and obviously the support of the family as well was very, very important, and friends to actually help me to balance myself as well. I also have a lot of energy, so that's probably one of the one of the secret as well. But it was hard. It might seem easy now that it's done, but it was hard, and that's why I was talking about the ladies always telling you, okay, you have to go on, and so you need this network of person to actually tell you, okay, you're almost there, just keep going. And that helps as well.
So mine is not a question. I really just want to congratulate Mireille. I think she's very close. And, even when she had sleepless nights, she was always like this. Nice, friendly, never lost her temper with anyone. So this, the pressure of not sleeping, plus the pressure of work, which most of us know about, but always like this, always very gentle, always very nice. I think that you are really, really, really amazing, and I hope you continue to be blessed and do and achieve great, great, great things.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mireille, well done, félicitations, on dit en français. With this book, where to from now? What's the next big step?
Where to for now? There's the marketing part, so I'm planning to do a little tour in some of the countries in Africa, and I already have a subject for the second book, so it's so next year, watch out.
Congratulations.
Thank
I
you,
must say,
Debbie.
it feels that you've done this in record time, and we are all not only proud of you but inspired at what you've achieved. And I think in addition to always being calm, she's always so beautifully groomed. However, I mean, she always looks like a model. Mine is a gender question. You have your daughters here tonight, and your experience all over the world has shown you that it's not always easy for young women to enter into any industry, and I think this one particularly. What advice do you have to young women about the oil and gas industry?
It's an exciting industry. I mean, it's not different from any industry. I think there's always those ideas that because it's a technical subject, it's going to be difficult. But at the end of the day, it's about being organized, having the discipline, and having the right support. And when you don't have it, ask for it, because otherwise you can't really go anywhere. And that's what I was saying. I mean, I'm sitting here, but it's the result of support from a support system. I couldn't do it on my own. So that's really the advice that I would give, is like, okay, when you feel like you really challenged and you don't see the end, just ask for support and talk to people and really get to understand what are the challenges and get the help from people that actually went through it. But they shouldn't be afraid of getting involved in the industry. We need them, actually, because there's a shortage of engineers in the industry. So I think it's legitimate that we should try to tap a little bit more into the young girl and push them to actually take the courage to actually get involved.
Oil and gas is something that you can't really separate from politics in Africa. And my question is, one of the things that has emerged as one of the challenges that you face in Africa in terms of making our resources more profitable for our own countries is the problem of skills, and especially in contracts and negotiations. My personal opinion in that is that perhaps there's not a lack of skills, but perhaps there's a lack of political will from the part of those who sit at the contract negotiations table to bring on board the right people to actually conduct those negotiations. So to put it simply, does your book address the political aspects of it? How do we get the government to see the interest of bringing the right people on board at a contract negotiation level so that we can secure the interest and the profits for our respective countries?
I think I don't go into into it in a very detailed way, but I actually allude to that, where I'm talking about the political environment being an influence as well now in the local content and how you implement things, because the government and the politicians are key stakeholders, and you really need to have the conversation, because I think sometimes they also don't understand really the industry. So it's really important that the people that understand and who get involved in those contracts actually educate them so that they understand where they should focus their effort to actually help the country to grow. And you're right, I mean, we've seen a lot of the oil and gas producer in Africa actually, you think, I mean, by producing oil, they'll become, I mean, a little bit more developed, but it's actually the contrary. You have a gap developing between the rich and the poor, and it's really sometimes very difficult. But I think with dialogue and really getting those people involved, and one of the things that I've seen, and I think that's what Nigeria is doing, is actually creating different bodies to actually address different aspects of the industry, because before it was just a scheme of having one, maybe the national company, really dealing about everything, and then you get the politician involved and you don't go anywhere. For example, in Angola, that's the case. I mean, with the local content policy, it's just not working. So you need those different bodies, the regulators, the technical bodies, and also the monitoring and governance body being separate entities to actually make sure that this doesn't happen. Partners in crime.
I just want to ask, how do you feel?
Good question. I've gone through a lot of emotion just right now. I mean, being nervous, scared, excited, and feeling great now because it's done, and I think that's the most important thing. Really, really feeling blessed.
Well, I'm speaking on behalf of the guys. I guess behind every successful lady author, there must be a man.
There is a man, yes. There's a paragraph for him in the book, so it was not forgotten.
See, do it. All. And then we smile and keep calm like Mireille. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute honor to have you here tonight. Mireille, thank you.
Thank you, Deborah, for
Guys,
having us.
please put your hands together for Mireille.
Wow, look at me.